Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tom LaHue, and today I have an encouraging video for those of you that feel like maybe things aren't going so well. You know, we're all going to go through those times in life when there could be challenges, there could be financial problems, relationship problems, maybe some problems going on in work or in your job, and you just feel like you're at the bottom. You feel like you've been kicked in the face and you don't know what to do next. This video is to remind you that you are not a failure, even if it feels like it. Hey guys, welcome back. Do you ever feel like you're just winging it in life? Like you're just trying to figure out what to do next? If you were honest, you would think maybe to yourself, I have no idea what I'm doing. I feel like I'm failing. I feel like I'm losing all the time. You know, you're not alone. It may look like everybody else around you is successful and somehow you didn't get the manual on how to do relationships, or you didn't get the manual on how to perform at work and do well at work, and you may be doing all the right things but not getting the results that you want to get, and that's incredibly discouraging. The reality is we live in an unjust world, and sometimes the bullies win. Sometimes the people around you are not your friends, and you can feel like a failure. And maybe we need to reframe some things. Maybe we need to, reconceptualize some things and realize that, every hero has some moments in their story where it looks like they're going to lose, where it looks like this is going to be a tragedy and we're never going to be able to get back from this. But what if your failure right now is just a chapter in your book and it's not the ending? It feels like the ending, but it doesn't have to be the ending. Feeling like a failure is not the same thing as actually being a failure. I think all of us at times know what it's like to not get the results that we are after. And feelings can be very loud. And sometimes they can just kind of take over everything, and your mood drops, and you can be very discouraged and feel very hopeless. And you might be in a valley right now, but that doesn't mean that you're disqualified. It doesn't mean that the game is over just because you're facing some setbacks. What do we need? We need some resilience. You're like, Tom, please help me. I feel like I'm out there all by myself and I don't have the support and the encouragement that I need right now. Well, I just want to remind you that you're not alone. It may feel like you're alone, but you're really not alone. Everybody wants to look like they have it all together, but the reality is most of the time, most of us are struggling. Look, I coach people all over the world every day almost, and what I find is life is hard. Relationships are hard. There's lots of challenges that we all face. And even if you won the lottery and won $1 million, which wouldn't go very far in this day and age, even if you won a ton of money, it still can't keep you from having health problems. It may actually increase some of the challenges in life. And just because people are wealthy and just because they're handsome and beautiful and attractive, or young, it doesn't mean that their life is not without struggles. You may feel like you're just limping through life, pretending to run, and on the surface trying to give people the perception that you have everything going okay, but inwardly you know that it's a dumpster fire. You're not alone. A lot of us are going through hard times at any given point in time. Success doesn't always look like you're crushing it. It doesn't always look like you're reaching all of your goals. That's what people post on Facebook. That's what people post on Instagram. But sometimes success is just getting up and facing the day, just making it through it. And I'm super proud of you just for doing that. Just every day getting up and sending out those resumes, getting up and not giving up on yourself. You're not weak because you're struggling. Look, you're still here. You're still in the game. You could have just gotten in a van and parked it down by the river and just given up on life, and you're not. You haven't. You're still coming home. You're still, interacting with your family. You're still applying for jobs. And even though it's very discouraging, I just want you to know that there's a lot of people going through hard times, just like you're going through hard times. So this is not the end. Maybe you did go through a serious failure, a divorce, a job loss. Maybe you lost a bunch of money on the stock market and you feel very hopeless. But your failures don't have to define you. Being a failure is something you went through. It's not something that you are. And it's important that you make that distinction, that you don't consider yourself a failure just because you have failed, just because things didn't work out the way you want them to. And failure, by the way, for Enneagram type threes, this is probably the worst thing they can think of. The worst thing they can imagine is for other people to consider them a low sort of person who fails at life. Well, a bad chapter doesn't mean that the whole book is terrible. I mean, how many of us have sat through a great movie that had some slow parts to it, or read a great book that had some slow chapters that maybe you kind of wondered, why is this in here? Why is it meandering and wandering? You might be delayed, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be denied. You might feel exhausted, but you don't have to be empty. And you might feel stuck, but you're still becoming something. What is it you're becoming? What is it that you're developing into? And sometimes these difficult times, even though none of us would choose to go through them, are what really prepares us for the next level in our life. So how do we start again? Well, if you're in a place where everything feels too heavy for you, then here is your challenge. Don't try to fix everything. Don't try to do everything at once. Just pick some area of your life that needs immediate attention and begin there. Start by moving one brick. We're not going to try to build the whole house in a day, but maybe just tell somebody the truth. It's amazing how truth dispels lies. And when you can find somebody in your life that you trust and you can just tell them, I feel like a screw up. Yeah, I lost my job because I lied at work. Or I feel like a screw up because I blew my diet and I lost 30 pounds, but now I gained 40 and I feel like it's amazing how telling the truth. I feel like I've wrecked things in my family. I don't think my kids really want to have a relationship with me. It's amazing how speaking the truth kind of helps you clear up the problem. The next thing is interrupt the spiral. Take a walk, get up, do something different. Start to breathe again. Maybe put on some classic rock and just take a walk and listen, or take a drive out in the country. Change your environment. Change your atmosphere. Change what you're doing. It's amazing how getting away from where we're stuck can help us start to relax our minds and get us thinking more clearly again. And then when you're done with that, come back and do one hard thing. Do one thing that you've been putting off. Finish making that resume. Make sure that all the dates are right and all the years are right on that thing. And then send it out. Or answer your email list. You say, but Tom, I got 1,000 emails just sitting there stacked up. Well, maybe it's going to take an hour, but you can do it. You can do hard things. You've done hard things before. And we got to make a decision that, all right, I'm going to, do one thing that feels really challenging to me. It's amazing when you're done with that one thing, how like dominoes, it can start to move you in a direction that builds momentum. Sometimes when you sit down to do 10 minutes worth of work, suddenly an hour goes by. If you can just win that first 10 minutes, if you can just accomplish that one difficult task, you're going to feel so much better about life. Yeah, you still got a long way to go. I get it, but at least you've started. And these tiny wins can lead to big shifts in our life. So I just want to remind you that you are not a lost cause. You're a great person. You have an Enneagram type, and there's so much you can learn about yourself, your strengths. All of us are like superheroes in some ways, but we all have our kryptonite problem as well. We all have our blind spots and our challenges that we have to face. But, you are a work in progress. And don't forget that every day we just want to make some progress. We don't have to get to the final result every day. We don't have to stand, in the victor's circle every day. But every day is preparing us for what's next. So here's what I want you to take with you. You're not late. You're not a lost cause. You're not done. Um, God's not finished with you yet. Life is not finished with you. And you're not finished yet. Don't give up on yourself. Believe that you can come back from this. So start again, not just when you feel ready, but because your story is worth finishing. I'm here for you. If I can help you in any way, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to work with you. Find somebody in your life that'll walk alongside of you and give you the encouragement that you need. You don't need any more discouraging voices in your life. You need some people who are for you, people who believe in you and who will love you, even when you're sitting on a dirt pile feeling like a loser. You're not a loser. You just feel like one. Sometimes you might have to just start talking to yourself and say, all right, Tom. All right. Maybe even name your brain something else. All right, Jerry. Tom and Jerry. I don't know. All right, Jerry. I've had enough of you. Now, this is what we need to work on right now. And sometimes instead of listening to yourself, sometimes you need to start telling yourself what you're going to believe and telling yourself what you need to hear to get back up and get back in the game. I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Be present to life.